Hi, Carm Capriato here. Welcome to episode 398 and the 9th installment of the Shop Talk series. We are talking about self-transformation and becoming a better leader with two millennial shop owners. Now here's a taste.
So I want to help make my technicians, my service advisors, everybody better than what they were when they started and better than what our competition is, right? Even though I also want our competition to come up to the same scale and raise us as an industry whole. But, I just love perfection and the addiction to winning, and having people that want to win on the same team is great.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Hey, how are you? And welcome to an interview that tells the current story of transition to CEO. It's about hitting a brick wall. Chris Machado and Corey Evaldi have shared some of their very raw experiences of learn the hard way as they continue to evolve their businesses and personal leadership one day at a time. Hey, Carm Capriato here, and did you know that some of the very best shop owner and technician training takes place at Apex? Plan to be there November 5th through the 7th at the Sands Expo in Las Vegas. And for more information, visit aapexshow.com, and I hope to see you there. Hey, remember why you're engaged with the Aftermarket's premier podcast. Here's one reason. We're providing genuine value for your time spent. No fluff inside these important stories. Every time the mic is turned on, we think of your valuable time and your need to learn one new thing, even though it may be more than just one thing, so you can continue to live your purpose. I'm glad to welcome Chris Machado, president at JCircle M Truck Repair in Bakersfield, California, and Corey Evaldi from Olmstead Auto Care, North Ridgeville, Ohio. Chris and Corey will show you what it took them to get where they currently are with their businesses and their life, and how they have managed to tackle the challenges thrown at them. They both came into the business in different ways. Chris leads his life with no excuses while using his energy to help people. He values generosity, kindness, and willingness to listen as part of his strong leadership traits. Corey loves perfection and is addicted to winning. He holds meetings with his people where their input is critical to the running of the business. Now, we cover a lot of ground to help you grow your leadership and business acumen. Enjoy the context of the aftermarket through these powerful, long-form audio learning moments. Get the talking points, my guests' bios, and links to their previous episodes at remarkableresults.biz/E398. Now listen, when Chris says he is now a master recruiter and no longer a master mechanic. Hey, a warm welcome to Corey Evaldi and Chris Machado. Hey, Corey, you're from Olmstead Auto Care in Olmstead, Ohio. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Carm.
And Chris is from JCircle M Truck and Automotive in Bakersfield, California. Glad to have you here, Chris.
Carm, thank you so much for the opportunity.
I'm excited. You know, we're here to talk about transformation, and I know both of you have great stories to tell, and I really want to jump in. Chris, I think you were just rocking and rolling, had all these techs, 7 techs. You had a 5-year goal to have 10 techs, and did you hit a brick wall?
Oh, brick wall was very tall and strong, I will have you know. Eye-opening as all. We have become master recruiters instead of master technicians here at our shop.
That's really a good line. I'm about ready to do a podcast on ghosting. And you know what that is? When you hire somebody and they don't show up.
Oh, shit. They don't show up to the interview.
They don't even show up for the interview. Well, that poses even a terrible challenge. You can't even get someone in the pipeline so they can start ghosting you.
I'm telling you, it's the ghost before the ghost.
Okay, so you ended up having to kind of just re-engineer yourself.
I really did. I not only had to re-engineer myself, but I had to re-engineer what JCircle M was going to do for the employee. And that in itself has become a great challenge. It's also become, if you would, addicting, because it becomes fun to give to the employees, to allow the employee to know that, hey, you know what? You guys aren't just a number. You guys are the bones of this company. And so We've had to incorporate major benefit packages that appeal to not only the employee that's unemployed, but even the best employees that are employed currently.
Yeah, but you couldn't do that until you actually had something in the bottom line, right?
Oh, that is the bottom line, Carm. There's no way we can afford this kind of marketing, radio ads. Of course, our internal marketing's great, but we've got to reach out there even further. We've got to be using Indeeds, ZipRecruiters, and I believe in the radio station from that 5 a.m. to, let's say, 3 p.m. That's going to catch most of your service mechanics, most of the people in the field that are employed today.
So you're using radio to recruit?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we want to broadcast this further than just a social media platform. Of course, we've got Facebook, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, as I mentioned. That is not, most of the time, it's not going to touch the employed technician, if you would, the guy that's very satisfied and complacent, and let's say he considers himself happy. That's where we're trying to. That's our target.
Are you fully employed right now? Are you looking for anybody?
I'm looking for people every day. I have 2 interviews after we speak today. I have one at 10 a.m., one at 11 a.m. I am one man short and have 2 interviews today, and will continue to interview until I find the best, or until I find the mechanic that balances out the equation. My benefit package is about $14.50 an hour if you broke it all the way down. Now add that to great compensation. I want the best because I'm going to provide the best.
Wow, what a heck of a package that you have. When you hit the brick wall a while back, was it everything between sales and cost management and profitability?
Yes, absolutely. It was the full spectrum. It wasn't just one thing. It was, as you say, it was the bottom line. It was the techs. It was the QC. It was the comebacks. And it was everything underneath the sun, Carm, as far as hitting that brick wall. I was stopped in motion.
Let's get into some details in a little bit. Corey, I want to bring you in. You had a very similar experience, especially you were running the shop, and then you had a opportunity for succession, and then I think the first child arrived, and was
Absolutely.
that was the brick wall, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And kind of similar to Chris, I remember, and I may have left this out with you, but I remember when I first took over the management position, and I went to all my guys explaining that there was going to be changes, but that these changes weren't just for me or the company to benefit, that everybody was going to benefit from this. My goal was to make the company more profitable and offer more compensation to everybody. And actually, I really like what Chris said and how he put it. It just took, it took some time to get people on board with those ideas.
So they all weren't with you at the time.
No.
And when these kinds of cultural changes happen in a business, you have to expect there's going to be some attrition.
Absolutely. There was definitely some turnover. There was some resistance against it. But I can honestly say that the ones that are still with me and the ones that had come on board are much better than in the situation that they had previously been. Everybody's making more money. They have better benefits, the whole 9 yards. The shop is doing better. The overall culture is better. But yes, getting back to what my brick wall was is, having my wife telling me that she was pregnant really stepped foot and made me say, okay, we got to make changes. I cannot, the business can't run me. I need to run it.
Isn't it amazing how having a child, your first child, or a second or a third, changes your priorities?
Oh, absolutely.
So were you guys dealing with a business coach, at the time you hit the brick wall, or was that the impotence to say, I got to do something different?
That was when I said we have to do something different. That was when I was looking for help, and I was going all different kinds of avenues to try to find it. And inevitably I ended up getting into a coaching program.
Mm-hmm. And that coaching program, by the way, guys, you continue to sing from the same songbook of any entrepreneur or service professional that I've interviewed in the last 3.5 years. And that was, I hit the brick wall and I found myself a business coach. Now sometimes they've had a couple of them because they, you've just got to get the personalities working right. And so sometimes they all don't work out. Some of the philosophies are different, but yet it seems like the common denominator for very, very successful shop owners is that I was a great tech and a poor businessman. And you know the rest of the story, right, Chris?
Oh, yeah. Otherwise, I wasn't a great tech, so I really had nothing to start with.
Oh, that's right. Your story is really great. You came from the dairy farm, right? And you had this dream of building what, a great fleet business?
Absolutely. So building a great fleet management facility with ideas to manage from front to back, top to bottom, from inspections, 90-day inspections for our commercial fleets, all the way into critical failures. Absolutely.
I love the story, Corey. By the way, you were the tech who needed to become a better businessman. Chris was an entrepreneur who had this drive to build a business, but yet he didn't know, he had a great dream, great philosophy, probably a cool business plan. But, what levers get pulled first, and do they go right or left or up or down?
Absolutely.
The purpose of this Shop Talk interview is to get our industry to relate to your stories. And because I hear all the time, thank you for bringing the shop professionals, husbands, wives on the show to tell their story. It so resonated with me. And I made changes in my world and in my life. And that's the reason you're here, to help all ships rise. So what was the big change that you made, Corey, right out of the chute when you started to turn the business around?
When I started to turn it around, it was instead of everybody being on a group bonus plan, compensation-wise, it went a little stronger towards the individual. We went a little bit more on a flat rate scale, but it was still a hybrid with the hourly. And that really brought some of the folks up. I mean, they actually produced a lot more. You saw less leaning on another person versus I'm just going to get it done myself and get it done and over with. So there was a lot of that. And that's kind of some of my personality, right? I'm just a person. I was never money motivated, but I was always a person that just wanted to get things done and get them done over with and move on to the next step. So I kind of wanted to instill that with my people. You
were into production.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
You were a perpetual motion machine.
Yes. I loved working on cars. I do to this day. I love troubleshooting. I love doing all that stuff.
So you are the CEO of the business. You have other responsibilities yet.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What pulls you back into the Bay?
Just my overall interest. I mean, it's in my blood, I love doing that stuff. Just right now, I find that when I'm out in the bays and whatnot, I end up causing more havoc than I do helping.
You mean they don't just come up to you and says, "Corey, get your butt out of here"?
Yeah, there's been some words said about that. It's usually our shop manager right now that he kind of grabs me. He's like, can you just come over here? And it's kind of the subtle way that my techs will have him pull me out.
I have an idea, and I want you to tell your guys this. You know the tassel that hangs off of the graduation cap. Mm-hmm. The mortarboard, right? The tassel.
Yeah.
Get all your guys tassels. And when you're in the shop and they want you out, they give you the tassel. And the tassel means, Corey, you graduated.
That's good. I like that. Yeah.
Because sometimes we just don't want to look at, here is a tassel. All right, you take the tassel, you go back into the office, and then a couple hours later you give the guy the tassel back. And then you go onto your little whiteboard and you type, and you have a little word called tassel, and you write down how many times you got a tassel.
I have a feeling someone would go in there and just keep making some hash marks on there.
Oh, that's good. That's good. But as the CEO, what is your favorite job? What do you love to do to run the business?
Right now I am trying to develop myself as a leader, right? I love this industry and I want to help the industry as a whole, and that starts with my home base. So I want to help make my technicians, my service advisors, everybody better than what they were when they started and better than what our competition is, right? Even though I also want our competition to come up to the same scale and raise us as an industry whole. But I just love perfection and the addiction to winning, and having people that want to win on the same team is great.
You put your heart and soul into your work every day, but the automotive aftermarket, it moves fast. And staying competitive means staying up to date on the very latest training and new products. At Apex, the Automotive Aftermarket Product Expo, the training sessions are some of the best I've ever seen, and they all take place over a 3-day period, all under one roof. Apex training is geared toward shop owners, technicians, auto parts retailers, and warehouse distributors, and each year, Apex adds new programs to make sure you stay ahead. In 2018 alone, Apex added shop equipment and technology training and electric car and alternative fuel vehicle training. Now keep in mind, these sessions are taught by many of the top trainers in the industry. Mark your calendar now to attend Apex 2019, November 5th through the 7th at the Sands Expo in Las Vegas. To learn more, visit aapexshow.com. Any leadership book that you have read that you'd love to share?
I've read a couple. The one that sticks out to me the most is Entree Leadership by David Ramsey.
Well, great book.
Yeah. So, he talks about, making, trying to make leaders that aren't necessarily entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs like Chris and I and others, we take risks and we don't really care about the consequences because we know inevitably it's on us.
Yeah.
Whereas you make these entree leaderships that are willing to take a risk, but they're a little bit more cautious about it, but yet they'll still make a decision, move forward, and progress is still being made.
The thing I love about Dave Ramsey's book, Entree Leadership, was it was really almost a textbook on how to run a great business and run a great life. And, it brings so much finance and profitability into it. But, he covers the people side and, the disc tests and the whole ball of wax. So I love it. In fact, it's on the books page on the website. And it was one of my favorite books I think I read about 5 or 6 years ago. Chris, how about you, reader?
I read when I'm flying. But lately it's been the Gary Vaynerchuk books, okay, as well. Brian Tracy has written a few books. For myself, I like to read about, of course, the well-rounded man. And with that being said, no excuses. And that's really the way I try to lead my life is, listen, you guys, we live in such a great world. We live in such a great era. There are really no excuses why we can't just get out there and not only motivate other people in our industry, but stay motivated yourself and really carry that energy that resonates with everybody around you. And, kind of tagging on what Corey has said here, that is such an addiction, and that is to bring people up to these great levels that they never realized or even fathomed that they could reach these type of tiers.
So if I went to one of your longest tenured people, Chris, and I said, so what's changed with Chris in the last 2 or 3 years, what would they say?
Wow, I think you'd have to maybe take a little bit of time, if not a recess, and just hear them out. But the evolution is huge. They would, what would they say, Carm? That's a great question.
So I guess you're going to answer it based on the fact that what you have done, I mean, you're really, as you grow as a leader and you've changed your business and you've become better in all the aspects of what a CEO does for your business, you could look back and say, well, I've done that really well. Do you think the group noticed?
Right. Yeah, and I can tell you, the group will point out, the team, I should say, would point out, I think, and obviously speaking about myself seems to be a little more difficult than I would have imagined. However, my generosity, my kindness, and my willingness to listen to everybody and really just bring them in as a team and create power within.
By the way, those are fabulous traits.
Thank you very much.
Generosity, kindness, and listening. They got to be in the top 5 of any great leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Agree, Corey?
Oh, absolutely.
It is the key to winning, as far as I'm concerned. We have to be leaders, and we have to bring these people up. And how do we do it when we're pushing them to the side? How do we do it when we don't have those few minutes? I also pride myself on stopping what I'm doing and listening to my people. It doesn't matter if these people are struggling financially and maybe need a little advance, or if these people just want to talk about some troubles they're having at home. I will stop what I'm doing for that at any given minute. And it doesn't matter if it's the man that sweeps the floors all the way up to the top of the echelon. And I really pride myself on that.
Was the big change in the company as you have transformed about this culture?
Absolutely. It's resonated. It has. My people, we have work husbands and wives, if you would, Carm. I mean, it's such a tight family. These people, they enjoy coming to work. They have a smile on their face when they're there. And more importantly, they're willing to share the vision that Corey and myself, at this, I'm going to say at this young age have. We've got a vision, and to get these people to understand and really see what's going on is just, it's inspiring.
You bring up age. Would you guys mind sharing? Because I want the audience to know that you guys are youngins.
I just turned 32.
And I'm 39.
Okay. Well, so you are the youngin, Corey.
Mm-hmm.
But, to be in your 30s, guys, and to get this transformation done and to reprioritize your world, your life, to be a better leader, to run a better business, the world's your oyster. I mean, it's in front of you. It's not like you're 59 and you're saying, "Hey, I got to change." You've really come to a realization very, very early in your life. I interviewed a gentleman, Matthew Roy IE, and he says, "I come to work to play, and so do my people." Does that resonate with you, Corey?
For most times, I'm like I said, I'm still growing myself, but I just like today, I thoroughly enjoyed. We had our Tuesday morning meeting. It was a great one. I love to talk to the guys, and we had fun this morning.
What did you talk about?
We always go over, there's some procedure, if you will, structure of the meeting. We always go over the numbers from last week, what we did, and any problems that we may have had. And we talked about some stuff going forward. I gave a couple of guys some recognition for really outstanding work. We talked about how this week is already shaping up, and we talked a little bit about our Christmas party that's going to be happening in a week and a half from now. So,
they're only 3 hours away. I could probably make it.
Come on down.
Great. Do you carve out any time in the meeting, Corey, to just listen?
Oh, absolutely. My manager runs probably 70% of the meeting. I'll take a 20%, and then maybe my techs are a little shy about it, but they'll voice. Actually, I got one tech that almost at every meeting has something to bring up, and I love the feedback. And we've been making a lot of changes, actually, the last 2 meetings to our DVI inspections, just from him saying, "Hey, I think it'd be better if we did it this way." okay, let's go in there and give it a shot. And then we'll talk about those changes at the next meeting. How did that work out? Right. So I've had a lot of good feedback on some of our DVI inspections. These guys would get frustrated with doing their inspections, and then to find out it's just these simple changes that we need to do, and boom.
And for you to grow as a leader and to listen to your people and implement their ideas, then they have ownership in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's so important, is that they're engaged. Mm-hmm. And to create that place where people love to come to work to play.
Oh, absolutely.
Interesting concept.
I try to be a little transparent too. I've been trying to tell everybody what my visions are, how I want all of our people to grow. I want our organization to grow. We want to get an expansion going, down the road, maybe multiple locations, the whole big picture. So I get everybody to understand, the transformation that, is happening. And I always like to update people as far as how we are doing, to tell them that, we went from a $1 million shop to a $2 million shop in 3 years, to people, so that they know that there's actual results in what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Every meeting I read a customer's review. They love hearing that stuff.
That's a powerful story, to be able to share your vision with your people. Every great leader realizes that their people have to be in it for the long haul. It's a great story. Now, so if you want to have multiple branches, have you sat down and said, hey, it's 2020, and we're going to put a key in the door of our first branch, and I want you all to know that. And so if I seem a little distant every once in a while, guys, it's because I'm working on that plan. Would you ever say that?
Oh, absolutely. And, I always let them know when, if my schedule doesn't let me be at the shop, I will let them know, hey, I'm going to miss you guys. I'm going to be here. If you ever need anything, call me. But absolutely, I will always let them know that I'm trying to make a step forward, not just for myself, but for the organization as a whole, for the entire team.
Hey, Chris, any of your great work ethic come from the fact that you grew up on a dairy farm?
Well, I would imagine so. As they say, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And, my dad's first name is Manuel, and believe it or not, he acquired a nickname while I was in high school from most of my friends, and that was Manual Labor. Everybody knew my father for this, this man's man, this man that worked his tail off from, sun up to sundown, and most of the time even further. So the work ethic is not only for my dad, but my mom as well. We are type A people, I would assume. And really more importantly, I think we love what we do. I believe that my father and my mother, my brother as well and sister, I think we all just, working makes us feel good, accomplishing something just, man, it's just like nectar to us. It really is just sweet. So, absolutely. Love them for it. And, I'll tell you what, my little offspring's the same way.
You're right. Apple didn't far fall from the tree. At least that's how you're going to raise your child, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Guys, are you guys doing much with education in your communities? Are you reaching out to the automotive programs in high schools and colleges?
I have not yet, although I guess my participation with that right now is on a much smaller scale. I brought on an apprentice who I've known. His mother's part of the Chamber of Commerce, and he's a good kid. He actually worked for me for a little while last year, and then he went to a dealership to try to see how that would feel. Didn't work out. He's been in contact with me for the past 6 months. I've been trying to place him into some of the shops in our area that I know of that would be a good fit for him. And, he's still young. He doesn't really have any certifications or experience. So, I decided I was going to bring him back on. I convinced him to go to college, so he's going to general studies right now. He starts the automotive program next year. I think he's making a lot of strides. He's definitely taking this time around a lot more serious, and I feel like I've helped, at least coach him into the right direction. And I see big things for him in the future.
Good for you. If I say to both of you, hey, there's only one way we're going to survive this industry, improve our image, find the youth to join it. We just can't make an excuse for a tech shortage. We have to do something about it. We have to get involved. And so I'm encouraging you, because I'm on my soapbox, to say that you've got to reach out to a high school, to a college, join an advisory board. And if there's no advisory board, just offer your help. Mm-hmm. And did you ever stop and think, we talked about this in Town Hall Academy 96, I think it was. We talked about reaching out with kids in the automotive. It's just a great episode. It's 96. And we talked about the fact that, Corey, Chris, you guys could become guest teachers at any automotive program through the internet, meaning just, get a video, do Skype, and go into a classroom, because they're all equipped today electronically, and say, hey, this is Corey, and I'm here to teach you about GDI here. I'm going to spend a half hour with you on it. And you love to be in the bays. Why wouldn't you love to be inside of a classroom bringing real world experience?
I love learning. I love education. I think that in our field, everybody has to at least dedicate some of their time to continuing education, just like the medical field. My wife is a nurse, and she's got to keep up with the continuing education credits. And I think that should be something that is almost a standard in our industry as well.
Great point to bring up, and we don't have enough time right now to talk about that, but very, very important. Chris, any involvement in education?
I haven't involved myself in automotive repair in any of the education. I have entertained a few students. We've got a technical school here in Bakersfield. As a matter of fact, my BG representative is the college professor there. We have entertained bringing students into Circle M, and at this point, unfortunately, because of the shortage in technicians, it's really made it difficult for us to invest that money and that time into a student at our shop. It's a very fast-paced shop, but I personally need to look further into that. As I listen to you speak, I think it is our future, and we do need to figure out a way to give back, and more importantly, create some appeal, create some passion for these students to feel and let them know that, this is a great trade. This is a great industry to be in, and follow your heart if that's where it is right now.
Glad to hear that. I mean, would you guys both believe that, part of your goal in your business, part of your vision, Corey, Chris, is to say, I'm going to grow my own technicians, and I'm going to take someone, it doesn't matter what age or what education level, like your apprentice, Corey.
Right.
If you don't grow your own, you're going to be behind the eight ball forever, I believe.
I agree with that. Actually, some of my aspirations with having a second location is I want to have a shop that also has a classroom in the same building, and to get some really good instructors, not only for, the technicians that are working for me, but even for outside technicians, or, some young people that, we can basically get a really good training sessions going on, maybe on a bi-weekly basis, weekly, monthly, whatever the case may be. But I'm just that big into training, and actually myself and my techs, we usually go out to training, and we'll travel as far as a couple hours just for a single night's training session. Chris and I were just in Missouri both together for like a management training, if you will. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's just something that has to happen. You don't know what you don't know, and that is some of the worst. That's the worst place to be.
Yeah. That's as we talk, because of where Circle M Truck Repair wants to go, we want to become the elite. And as I'm sitting here thinking, we purchased, what is it, T1 through T8, as far as the ASC manuals. I have offered to pay for training within Circle M. and just purchased these books for one of my technicians that is interested in becoming a master tech. And so little steps I can speak of as far as me giving back to building that youth.
If I can talk about a plan that I've actually started to put together, and I think I'm going to implement at the start of next year, is I am interested in doing a tool allowance based on credits for education. So this way, my techs will get an allowance it'll be on their billable hours. It will be versus how many ASEs they have, and if they do continuous training. So I'm going to wrap it all up into one program that will give these guys much more benefit, because, tools are expensive too. And, it's always the right tool that can make a good technician a lot better. And I always believe that the best tool a person has is in their mind, is their brain. Because a scanner alone is not going to fix a vehicle. It's not going to tell you what's wrong with it. It's the person that's using it, that's interpreting that data, that's going to fix the car.
Is the day of having a tech buy all their own tools dying, especially with the young kids coming out?
Tools are way too expensive nowadays to let that up to a technician to pay for that. I mean, a technician, I am very proud to say that I think I have a couple of techs that are on the very, 10% of what technicians make. But for them to put a large chunk of their income back into the tools, I think is just asinine.
Yeah. What's the average scan tool go for these days? Is it $3,000, $4,000, $8,000? I just spent $8,000 on the Texa. And, for us out here in the fleet, we want the on highway as well, the off highway. So that wasn't the first $8,000 that I've spent this year.
Not at all. I bought a new scanner this year. It was $15,000.
Corey, Chris, let me throw an idea out at you. I've recently heard a couple of shop owners say, listen, I need certain kind of training, and I'm going to go get it. And I'm going to actually hire that trainer coming into my shop. Corey, you were mentioning I need to have a training center. But it doesn't matter if you have to go to a back of a restaurant. The fact of the matter is that you're going to hire a trainer specifically for the needs that you have. I'm not going to wait for my supplier, although it's important. And you know what? And we're going to hold daytime training so these guys can really absorb it. So I'm in total control. And then I got some friends in the industry, in the community. Hey, I'm having this. If you're interested, here's what it's costing me. If we divide it up by, more than 5 guys, it's, 6 or 7 guys. It's all less money for us. Is that a concept that maybe is ripe right now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Ever think of doing it?
Yes. And this is where I've gotten, if I had the space, and I always thought about building a shop from the ground up with a classroom, maybe on the second floor. That would allow for the opportunity to do that. And go to neighboring.
But don't let space stop you.
That's a good point. I mean, there's always areas that you can rent out for it.
Yeah. If you buy the lunch, they'll give you the room. Maybe the local school, maybe your alma mater has an empty classroom for, on a Saturday morning or whatever, that you could do. Anyway, it's a great concept. Chris, have you ever brought in any specialized training to the shop?
We haven't brought in any specialized training as far as formal training goes. We, of course, are trained on various tools, but we haven't.
Thank you for that. Now, perpetual studency, right? You guys kind of been alluding to that, and you just recently said you were together at a management class. And since we learn something new each and every day, what was your big takeaway from that?
For me, it was some of the software that we're using. There was a demo there of some of the shop management softwares that I thought was just great and leaps and bounds ahead of what we're using now. Bringing in better technology for my folks to use to make everybody more efficient is an ultimate goal for us. So,
how about you, Chris?
I'm going to start by piggybacking him because I was really just impressed by these systems that Corey is speaking of. Other other aspects of our training in St. Louis, we were able to audit a member shop in that time that we were there. And there was so much to take from that place as far as, you know, the cleanliness, the way it was operated, just the systems, operations, procedures, if you would, of this existing automotive repair facility. For me, was great just to see the completeness of it. If you could imagine, this is a journey, growing every day in 10 and 20 years. Corey, what is this going to look like? We have visions, but really that gave me something to really focus on.
You actually got a picture of what your vision looks like.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And that is so powerful.
Oh God, yeah.
Did you come back and share it with your people?
Oh, heck yeah.
It was,
I tried not too much. I didn't want them to all leave and go there.
Doesn't it always happen, guys? Oh God, Corey just came back from a meeting. Oh my God, it's going to be crazy around here.
It's, more importantly, I think for myself, in the shop, as we spoke earlier, Carm, you know, we're 9-10 technicians in a 2-bay shop, and you walk back into your shop and you just almost pull your hair out at times because of the hose that's, you know, drug across the bay, or the extension cord that hasn't been picked up, and it was rather eye-opening and very humbling. I will have you know.
Well, it's cool to see a shop that you would love to emulate someday, and to say, oh, that does exist. It really is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, was this a shop tour, or like you said earlier, it was a chance to audit the shop? And were you guys actually doing a give and take? Why are you doing this? Have you ever thought about that? Was it an observation, or was it integration?
An integration. I mean, it was very intimate. We were broken up into groups. Each group took a different area of the shop, whether it be the advisors or the shop flow or the cleanliness, or how about that pro image? What's the external shop look like?
Mm-hmm.
And we were allotted an 8-hour period to just take
the shop apart.
Dive into the weeds. And the day after, we were given about 4 hours to regurgitate, if you would, everything that we had chalked up.
Well, that's cool, being able to get back into a team and say, okay, what'd you see?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
And that's so powerful. And then you probably stuck it all up on the board somewhere, right? And then you all, you probably took voracious notes.
Absolutely.
And then you came back and you continued to tweak your vision and your plan.
That's right. It was just a neat process.
And what you said earlier, Corey, about being a better leader, been talking to some people lately, and they say we could talk about all the problems our industry has, from image to the tech shortage. And if we were all better leaders, we could solve so many of those problems, because we'd be running a better business. We'd have better people, stronger cultures, and there would be more of us doing the right thing for people to emulate. And it almost goes back to what you guys were looking at and saying, I want to grow up and be like him. And that's not negative against you. And, it's just, we all have to have something to aspire to.
Absolutely.
And I think our people want to see that inside of the leaders in our industry. Listen, not everyone can be the owner, not everyone can be the tech, or the service writer, or the QC guy, or the GC. And it's, the more I keep thinking about it, I think we need to do a show just on everybody's take on what a leader is, and how we can, if you will, drag some of the naysayers over the line.
Mm-hmm. I think that would be an amazing show.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You guys have just given me a challenge. Wow.
Can't wait to hear it.
Right?
Listen, let's sum this thing up. This was great. You guys were very transparent and open and honest with me. Thank you so much. And yeah, we could have gone way deep. We could have mentioned the fact that Corey's dad lives here in my hometown, and he has a shop in the town that I was born in, and we did business years ago. And, and Chris, you had, your great story of, overcoming all your odds. But I think we really dove into some real positive meat. And I think the stories that you've told can really help our industry. Any final piece of advice, Chris?
Well, there are a few quotes, Carm. I feel like I'm stealing them from one of my mentor and my only mentor. But I truly believe what you focus on happens. I'm gonna go ahead and stop there and not get too much. I feel like I can go much longer, but what you focus on happens, and really just stay positive with who you are. We can use the word professional, stay professional, but really more importantly, from the inside out, let's stay positive, and let's understand that these are just small challenges that we can definitely salute quickly, and so that's what I'm going to go out with.
Cool. Thanks, Chris. How about you, Corey?
I couldn't agree anymore. And, me and Chris, we have the same mentor, and, what you focus on happens. I love that. And I want to let every shop owner out there know that, if they're listening to this and if they're struggling in any aspect of their business, just let them know that they're not alone. And at some point or another, we've all been into it. And, don't be afraid to ask for help. Okay, because nobody knows everything. And just like Chris said, you got to stay positive, and just have that focus on making yourself and your team better.
Thanks, guys. Corey Evaldi, Olmstead Auto Care, and Chris Machado, JCircle M Truck. Appreciate you being on, man.
Thank you, Carm. Honor.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thanks, Chris Machado and Corey Evaldi, for bringing your style of leading to Shop Talk. There are some great lessons on leadership growth and doing business here for all to learn from. Your stories will complement the huge collection of content this library has for students in perpetuity. The link to the show notes is at remarkableresults.biz/E398. Hey, don't forget the books page on the website. All the books we talk about on the podcast are there for your perusal. Hey, we'll talk soon.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time.